And then finally, very exciting, we have all the groups and paths and texts that we need. So let's go ahead and set the attributes and styles on them so that they'll render the way that we want. And so these are all of the almost the same attributes and styles that we set previously. And this is what it ends up looking like. And just for like an extra little bit of, repetition and retention, I was thinking that we can go ahead and code all of that together, what we just ran through together, to bring all of that into, bring all of that code together into one place. So let's get going. So we will have the same as before, where we have an SVG with the width and height. So let us first create our parent group elements. Const g is equal to d3.select the parent SVG, and then we're going to select all of the groups in the SVG that do not yet exist, and we're going to pass in our flowers data, which is an array of objects with all of our scales and scales and translates. And then we're just going to say enter.append group. And if we do that, we don't see anything yet because group element always, it's like, okay, lost our place a little bit there, but okay, so let's inspect that element again. And then we can see all of these group elements have been inserted or created in the DOM, and there's 135 of them. So now let's go ahead and let's create our petal paths. And a small side note about DOM dictates like the order in which they'll get rendered. And so in the examples or in the explanation I gave earlier, I explained the text element first, just because conceptually it was easier to grok. But in actual practice, what we want to do is we want to create our paths first, because we want the paths to get rendered, our petals to get rendered first, so that our text can lie on top of it and we can see the titles for our movies. So let's get going with that. And to figure out what the data should be for each of those groups, each of those movies. And so we are passed in the movie data from and then we want to create a new object with the same parent data. And we're creating this new object so that our children, our new like kind of individual children datum objects, our individual children data with all of our movie information, or sorry, flower information. And we're going to also calculate the rotation for each of the paths. And another small note about SVG rotate, which is that it uses degrees. And so that's why I am dividing it 360 divided by the number of petal paths. If I remember correctly, in vanilla JavaScript, with a lot of piece of code, we should be able to inspect element and see that select one of these paths and we were to say we wanted to see the properties on them, then we'll see the data that's been bound with the newly calculated rotation in degrees. So let's use that piece of information, and the first thing we want to do on each of these petals. So right now we're operating on each of these petal paths. And so for each of them, what we want to do is first, we want to be able to rotate them to the right, whatever we calculated. And so let's say rotate, d.rotate. And then we also want to be able to scale them. Because we need to set .adder transform translate on our group elements. And so let's go ahead and do that. Let's see. Was it not called position? Transform, translate. Okay, so that's not happening. So let's debug this together. So we have the rotations and undefined. So I don't think I called it position. So let me see. Awesome. So we've now translated all of our paths, and so we have our flower shapes, and you can see that we still need to set the color and the the stroke and the opacity, but I just want to take a small moment to celebrate the flowers on the screen. That we need to use VJs let's see. So we need to use VJ's path. And so we're going to use that. Okay, so now we should have, oh, look at how cool that shape looks. So that's so I hope at this point that you're seeing your own petal paths in there too. But yeah, let's go ahead and set some of our styles. So let's go ahead and fill it by the color that we previously calculated. We're going to also stroke it by the color that we calculated. So let's have that be, I think we said 2 pixels. And there we go. Oh, look at that. So yeah, there's like a little bit of an inside detail with what VJ gave us for these petals right here.